Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Geno Reynolds and this is WANT Presents The Real Geno. Today we're going to take a look at two very different superhero movies that you can see on streaming right now. So, let's do this.
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, we start things off with our first superhero movie as we watch Sylvester Stallone deny he is a long-lost hero in Samaritan.
Another long night of crime and violence.
Some say it's only a matter of time before the city implodes.
I think we're finished here.
Many years ago, two brothers who were born with superpowers began to use those powers in different ways. One brother became the superhero known as Samaritan, and the other went down the opposite path and became Samaritan's supervillain nemesis called, well, Nemesis. The story of the two brothers came to a deadly end when they both died in an explosion, or so we thought. Many years later, a young man believes more than anything else that Samaritan is alive. One day he witnesses his neighbor do some not so normal things and then determines to prove that his garbage man neighbor Joe, played by Sylvester Stallone, is really the long-lost superhero. This is one of those movies that I felt had a pretty good cast but didn't have a good enough story for that cast. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't get any enjoyment out of this, nor am I saying that the cast didn't do its best with what they were given, but the story itself is really generic. At its core, cliché would probably be the word I'd use to describe this one. There really isn't anything in Samaritan that you haven't already seen done before. I'd also say that the whole thing has a bit of a late 80s, early 90s feel to it. As for the endgame, and don't worry, I won't spoil it, the endgame is so predictable that I figured it out early. I mean, really early, like in the opening narration early. That being said, if the movie had gone another direction, it probably would have been a lot worse. So while Samaritan isn't going to topple the next big Marvel movie or anything, it's not terrible, but it could have been better. You can see Samaritan right now on Amazon Prime. Moving on.
This is so tight.
It's some kind of superhero lair.
Your dad's a superhero.
What? No, my dad can't handle hot wings.
In secret headquarters, a son discovers that his father may or may not be the superhero called the Guard. Who's coming up with these names? Like Samaritan, Secret Headquarters isn't going to be your next big budget superhero movie franchise, but that's okay. It's not really trying to be. This one is just trying to be a fun family film at its core, and for the most part, I thought it was just that. Also, like our first review, this one isn't trying to reinvent the superpowered wheel. No, it's just going to boost off of other movies.
I think Mickey Mouse is going to sue somebody.
In a way, I'd probably say that Secret Headquarters borrows most heavily from Iron Man and Spy Kids. While of a different origin, the Guard's suit is definitely very similar to Tony Stark's invention, and while the effects are way better here, the action gets pretty Spy Kids silly at times. Here's the thing, I still kind of had fun with it. Now, I'm not saying the story or especially the comedy in this is amazing or anything, but this is one of those movies that I could see me, my boys, and my mom watching on our Friday night dinner and a movie nights. And for those wondering, it's usually Chinese. First Walk to be specific. This one is getting its fair share of criticism, and I get it, but sometimes I like to have a movie that I don't have to think about too much in the end, and Secret Headquarters fits that bill just fine. You can see this one on Paramount Plus right now. That's going to be it for this edition of WANT Presents The Real Geno. As always, I am your host, The Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. Till next time.